Hello, and welcome to the second edition of Life Support, a part of the Ritual Experience. My name is Renee Ruffin. Today, we're going to talk a little bit about the purpose of pain. Let me tell you, pain does have a purpose, and it also comes with a promise, but only when you can fully understand and appreciate the purpose of it. As I started this podcast, I really was thoughtful about what the topics would be. What should I focus on first? And I really think it's important to focus on pain because pain has the ability to really be a hindrance in our lives. And we all share an experience in pain. Either we've been through it, we're going through it, or we're on our way to it because really pain is a natural part of life. And when you understand what it's about, doesn't make it any easier, but it gives us the ability to endure and to get through it. You know, there's a scripture that says the race is not geared to the swift nor to the strong, but to the one that endures to the end. Sometimes when you're going through certain things in life and you're hurting, and you're going through pain, it's all you can do just to keep moving. But it helps sometimes when you know there's an end in sight, or you know there's a reason that you're going through it. There's something at the end that will make it all worth what you're going through. And that's the purpose of it. We're going to talk about that today. There's an acronym that I defer to often when I think about pain using the letters in the word. P, pain is purposeful. A, you can certainly anticipate it. I, it's intermittent. So the good news is, it won't last always. It came to pass. And N, it is normal. So we all go through it. You know, sometimes when you're in the midst of pain, it feels like nobody can understand. Only you know what you're feeling. Only you can appreciate the space you're in because there's no way anybody can understand how you're feeling. Well, let me just tell you, right now, you're wrong. Everybody, whether they want to admit it or not, can understand and appreciate what it feels like to hurt. Because as long as you're breathing and in this life cycle, you will endure the process of pain. It comes with the territory. To be honest with you, all of us that are here today came through a cycle of pain because that is what the labor process is. We'll talk about that shortly as well. But getting back to pain. Again, once we all accept the fact that pain is a natural part of life, it behooves us to understand what it's all about. And I firmly believe that understanding that purpose is imperative to how pain affects us. And what I mean by that is that pain has the ability to either cause us to accept the agony of defeat or to birth life. And when you don't understand the purpose, pain keeps you in a posture of defeat. It also causes you to focus on the hurt that is affiliated with pain. And hurt is a very powerful emotion. It's a powerful emotion that comes with negative seeds or negative connotations that drive us. For example, there's a saying that hurt people hurt people. And let me tell you, it's true. And if we're all honest with ourselves, we've done it. We've all done it. It may not be something glamorous that you want to admit, but when you don't understand the purpose of why you're hurting or what pain is, you just lash out because we don't have the ability sometimes to manage our emotions in a mature way when we don't understand why we're feeling what we're feeling. So we allow hurt to cause us to develop spirits or seeds of bitterness or anxiety or unforgiveness or low self-esteem or anger or vindication, wanting to be vindictive, wanting to see somebody else hurt simply because surely we can't be in this thing all by ourselves. That's what hurt does for us. But when you understand that pain has a promise, you can control the emotion of hurt. And you can focus on what the promise is and the outcome and then you're willing to endure. Even if you're going through the process where you're barely making it, sometimes you're crawling. You're getting up in the morning and it's all you can do to put your clothes on, put a smile on, if you can muster one up and get out of the door. But you know there's a promise, so you keep going and you keep moving. And I promise you, if you do that, you're going to win the race. Somebody might pass you up as you're running, but if you keep running, we're all going to end up at the same place, and that's the finish line. But that's only when you understand the purpose, which is why we're talking about this today. I was watching Equalizer 2 a couple of weeks ago, and at the beginning of the movie, Denzel said something that resonated with me. And he said there are two types of pain. There's pain that hurts, and then there's pain that alters. Man, that's powerful. You know, when you think about it, actually all pain really hurts. What I mean by that is, whether someone says something negative to me and it hurts my feelings, or I stump my toe against the wall. Both of those things hurt. But the stumping the toe against the wall goes away. But the person that hurt my feelings might have the ability to really alter me in a way if I allow that pain to affect me and not understand the purpose. So let's take that a little further. Somebody might say to me, Renee, you need to lose weight. Now, maybe I really do need to lose weight. In fact, I need about 15 more pounds, just since we're talking about that. But I have the ability to receive that one of two ways. I can either allow that to hurt me, cause me to go into a deep depression, eat even more, get depressed, and gain more weight. Or I can say, well, I didn't appreciate what that person said, but is there value in it? Is there purpose in it? And if so, I can take the pain of that comment and structure a plan with the promise to lose 15 pounds or 20 pounds or whatever it is to make myself better, to give myself more life. But again, it's understanding the pain. Am I going to allow the pain to govern me? Or I'm going to understand that the pain came, but what am I going to do with it? Either I'm going to bask in the hurt, or I'm going to focus on the ability to produce life from it. Pain, as difficult as it might seem, really is intended to strengthen us. It really is. Let's use the example of the body and a muscle. In order for a muscle to be strengthened, there must be resistance and weight. Weight is heavy, just like pain. Resistance pulls. It stretches us. It takes us out of our comfort zone. But in order for that muscle to strengthen, we have to place resistance on it, and we have to use weight. But once you do that, that muscle becomes stronger and more defined, and it is positioned to carry more and more than what you ever thought you could, because now you've gone through the process of pain to grow. Let's use the spirit, for example. In order for the spirit to grow, there's spiritual warfare that you must go through. There are trials and there are tribulations that you must go through within your spirit. But as you go through those things, the spirit begins to grow. It begins to develop. It begins to become stronger. Your faith becomes stronger. And things that you thought you couldn't go through before, you now have the faith to go through. And then you have the faith for other people to carry them along, because now your faith muscles have been strengthened through the process of pain. But there's no greater example than that of labor and a mother or a woman that's giving birth. That is a wonderful example of the promise of pain. It's a parallel. And even if you're a man and you can't give birth, I want you to pay close attention to this example, because while this is an example, all pain conceptually is the same. And at the end of the day, if you truly understand the purpose of it, life comes from the pain. When you're going through labor, let's start with pregnancy. When you first find out you're pregnant. I know for me, when I first found out I was pregnant, I got to be honest, I was excited, but the second thought that came to my mind was, ooh, I wonder if it's going to hurt when it's time to deliver the baby. And I really focused on, oh my God, the pain. it's going to hurt. But as I went through the pregnancy and the process of the pregnancy, and life began to grow inside of me, and I could feel that life, the focus kind of shifted from the fear of the pain and what it would feel like, because I could feel life now. Like, wow, something's really there that's coming. I'm building something here. To understanding that while it may hurt, it's purposeful. I anticipate it. It will only be intermittent. And it's normal when a woman has a baby for it to hurt, right? But at the end of it, I'm going to get a promise if I'm able to endure. So, there are 4 stages of labor. The first stage of labor is called active labor. That's when you go into your first start labor, the water breaks, you start having contractions. At first, contractions might be about 15 minutes apart. It's bearable, hurts, but you can tell something's happening. Because I'm feeling something, and it's consistent. It's a consistent throbbing. But then, as the baby begins to descend, and it's closer to time for you to push and bring that life forth, the pain intensifies. And it gets closer and more difficult, and it hurts more, because now the baby is moving through a very small space, and everything, all the forces are pressing against you, and it's intense. But it intensifies just before it's time for you to give that life. But right before it's time for you to bear and to push is when you're probably slapping somebody, looking for an epidural, holding on to the side of the bed, because life is right there. You can't give up now, because you're right there at your promise. And when you get to maybe 30 seconds apart, that's when you're told it's time for you to bear down and to push. So that's the second part. We're going into the pushing phase now. We begin to push because it's so hard. The pain is so difficult, we can hardly bear it. All we can do is just push and hope that something is going to happen. Push. Pray until something happens. Push. Don't give up now, because you're almost there. The next thing you know, when you keep pushing, you deliver life. The pain came with the promise. The promise is right there in front of you. You made it through. You didn't give up, because it had a purpose, and it was to bring you through a process where you could deliver life. Then there's a third part of labor, and it is what we talked about. I missed the part. It's the transition. The transition takes you to the pushing, but they're kind of one and the same. So part 1, just to go back, is the active labor. Part 2 is when you're transitioning from active to pushing. That's all the contractions. And pushing, we've already talked about, brings forth the promise. The last part is the afterbirth. The afterbirth is where you release from your uterus all of the remnants of that particular birth, so that the uterus is now clear to start the birth cycle all over again. For another seed to be planted, for the pain process to start, that pain process that is purposeful, anticipated, intermittent, and normal, but comes with a promise of life at the end if you're able to endure. How awesome is that? Life is about birth. Life is about pain. Life is about resilience. Life is about endurance. And when you understand the purpose of pain, it makes it easier to endure. Now, there's a lot more that we need to talk about. Part 2 of this series is how you cope with the pain during the process. We're going to talk about that during session 3 next week. But I appreciate you for tuning in, and I sincerely pray that this helped you in some kind of way to endure the process of pain by understanding what it's all about, and to know that you're not alone. This too shall pass. Remember, walk firm enough to leave a footprint and straight enough to pave a path. Until next time, be blessed.